Everyone, I'm Ron, and today I'm going to share a supervisory tip. As I've said many times before, supervising is a skill. Skills can be taught, skills can be learned, and skills often need to be updated. So today I have a tip on how your supervisors might update their skills. This tip is on how to use why in the work environment. We all know that how and when a certain word is used in the workplace, you can have dramatically different results just depending on the context of how that word is used. Take, for example, the word why. It's a simple three-letter word that will actually affect your success as a supervisor depending on how or where or when it's used. For example, in my supervisory training, I caution my students to never ever start a sentence with the word why while they're in a coaching or any kind of interaction with their employees. For example, why were you late to work today? Why did you not follow the procedure? As a supervisor, it doesn't really matter your intentions or the circumstances. Once a sentence beginning with the word why comes out of your mouth, the employee will unconsciously but instantly assume a defensive attitude and put up a barrier. Anything you say from that point on is going to result in negative feelings. The reason for this is simple. The word why is a challenging, accusatory, or questioning word. And once it's uttered, it's like a bullet fired from a gun. Nothing you can do to change, nothing you can say or do can change the fact that the rest of this conversation is going to have a negative effect. And in dealing with an employee, the last impression that employee has of that conversation, or from the supervisor's perspective as well, the last impression of that conversation is the lasting impression. So what you really want to do is you want that conversation to end with a positive or constructive note. So instead of asking why, let's do this. Let's explain why. Let's take that asking why off the table completely and change this to a new plan, and our new plan is going to be called explaining why. So now we're going to try something different. Instead of asking why, let's change that why from asking to explaining. Explaining why instead of asking why produces a dramatically different result. Simply explaining why a certain task should be performed a certain way or at a certain time communicates the purpose of this task. So we're now going to explain why, and we're going to communicate purpose. We're going to communicate this to the employee because the purpose, knowing the purpose, changes the whole dynamic of the conversation. First of all, purpose is one of the three components that lead to engagement. Second, we as humans are wired to perform better when we understand the purpose of why a certain task has to be done a certain way or why a rule is done a certain way. So now let's flip this around. Let's take the previously mentioned examples and let's flip them from an accusatory why to communication of purpose. So in this case, why were you late again today might become an explanation. An explanation of if we don't have a press operator at the beginning of the shift, then we either have to double up or start late, which means we can't meet our quota for the shift. That's an explanation. Or the next item we had on our list, the next example we had is, why didn't you do it the way I told you? That could become something like this, an explanation. All the past lessons that we've learned on how to prevent defects, rejects, and customer complaints have been written into this procedure. Following our established procedures is how we avoid creating these defects and customer complaints. So that's an even better explanation. Humans are hardwired to perform better when once we understand the why a specific task has to be done a certain way. Employees are far more likely to follow a given rule or procedure once they understand the why it's that way. So, if your employees don't seem to be following rules or procedures the way you would like them to, back up. Back off of the how and replace it by communicating the why. And I think you'll likely see much better results. So thank you for your time. If you found value in this little explanation, I appreciate a like. And stay tuned, and if I get enough likes, I'll do more of these. Thank you very much, and you have a great and prosperous day.